So we begin at the beginning, Adam and Eve, a marriage handcrafted by God himself. eHarmony should be so lucky. And yet, God hasn't walked away for 5 minutes before everything goes south. I was going to say everything goes to hell, but you can't say that in a church. So we have Adam explaining himself. Okay, look, yes, I ate from the apple, you got me, but come on, Lord, have you tried her cooking? In all fairness, that's one of the jokes my wife wrote. Job, we know that God gave Satan permission to take everything good away from Job. It's also worth noting that Satan did not take Job's wife from him. Make of that what you will, but in chapter 2, verse 9, we hear just how kind and compassionate she was when she says, and I quote, in the midst of his misery, just curse God and die already. Some have called her attitude Kardashian-esque. Lot and his wife, who looked back as they fled the city and was turned into a pillar of salt. The woman just could not let things go. But we need to give Lot's wife a little bit of slack. Recent archaeological evidence has uncovered that on the day they fled from the cities, there was a 50% off sale at Zerubbabel's sandals and accessories. What woman here would not have struggled with looking back, I charge you? In all fairness, that's not one of the jokes my wife wrote. But she did laugh at it. Abraham and Sarah. I imagine Sarah had a very hard time running a normal household. Look, I don't care who's sacrificing who. Nobody leaves this tent without sunscreen. You think I'm proclaiming to hear myself proclaim? Isaac and Rebekah. According to Jewish tradition, Isaac was so extremely good looking that the moment Rebekah saw him, she fell off the camel that she was riding. I mention this because that is exactly what happened between me and my wife. Only in reverse. And because the camel I was riding was my Harley Davidson, there were some minor abrasions involved. Jacob, the reality TV show producer's dream. Jacob and Leah and Rachel and Zilpah and Bilhah and 12 boys and a girl. It was like the Duggars crossed with sister wives. The Israelites, as we know, spent 40 years wandering in the desert. I'm not saying it was easy for the women during that time. Having sand and everything is never easy. But read your Bibles. For 40 years, they didn't have to do any cooking. They didn't have to do any sewing. This joke is really sexist. The views and opinions of this commentary are not necessarily those of Waterstone Community Church. Samson. Oh, Samson. Thrice didst Delilah demand to know how Samson's strength could be taken from him, and thrice did Samson wake up in that exact situation. How many red flags do you need, brother? It's like hearing one time that a person is an Oakland Raiders fan. You walk away. And if they start talking about deflating footballs, you run. Solomon had 700 wives. I did the math. That is an anniversary present every 12 hours. And so we have Solomon. Oh, Jezreel's fine jewelry? Yes, Solomon had a flip phone. It was ancient times. Yeah, big yes here. Do you guys engrave bracelets? Uh-huh. To my one and only. Yeah, I don't know, like 300? It probably wasn't very easy being married to a prophet. God told Ezekiel, for example, to lie on his right side for 390 days. Probably made it a little difficult for Mrs. Ezekiel to entertain. Oh, hi, so glad you guys can make it. Come on in. Zeke, we got company. Hi. Pate's in the kitchen. Yeah, come on. Oh, don't mind him. He's been like that for almost a year now. I just vacuum around him. Not really sure what accent this is supposed to be. That moment just now where I lay down is going to go over really well on the podcast. Nothing like listening to a visual joke. So I'll close with this, a brief dip into the New Testament. We'll look at Zechariah and Elizabeth. Zechariah is sacrificing in the temple. The angel of the Lord appears to him and tells him that his previously barren wife will give birth. And Zechariah says, "How can this be? My wife and myself were both old." He was Jewish. And the angel says, "Seriously? You're going to doubt me, the angel of the Lord? Okay, just for that, you get to be mute until the baby is born. How do you like them apples?" I am, of course, paraphrasing slightly. And so it was. Zechariah was mute until John was born. And I'll bet that Liz loved it. For 9 months, nobody was interrupting her. Nobody was telling her they'd heard that story before. Nobody was complaining about the Super Bowl. Hopefully this joke makes up for the Israelite women one earlier. I'm going to go before I get in more trouble. But, real quick, married men, be nice to your wives today. Never forget that they have to be married to a man, and we know how difficult that can be. Single men, dude, eat a meal over the sink for me today. And for all those of us who just no longer have that right, you've been great wives, though. Thank you.